Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media users found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings.
Well, hi guys, I am back after having an extended break. I could not quite handle the madness which was social media obviously over the past week. What with the presidential run, we had the Johnny Depp court case, we had so much negative stuff in the news. You know what it's like, especially with this worldwide bug that everyone's dealing with. You put the news on, within 3 minutes you're depressed. It always reminds me of a scene in Demolition Man, if you've ever seen that. It's a Sylvester Stallone film that he did alongside Wesley Snipes, and they basically wake up in the future. Wesley Snipes is the bad guy, and the police aren't used to dealing with serious crime, and Simon Phoenix, who is the baddie, bear with me, but he is basically killing people, and all that flashes up, much to the police going, oh, is murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill. And that's what it's like reading the news at the moment. It's depression, sadness, anxiety. Switch off the TV. Switch it off. I've stopped watching the Prime Minister's updates. I figure if it's anything serious, my phone will get an alert through. I've had to take steps away from social media. I did before the dreaded lockdown happened. If you see, I'm wearing some new jewellery. My husband bought me vouchers last Christmas. I haven't been able to spend them. There's a shop that I love in town, and I'm not promoting anything. I do not get any payments from this company, but they're called All That Glitters. They're based in the UK. They're online, and they do amazing pieces of it's costume jewellery. It's not really expensive. The necklaces are anywhere from £25 to £30. They do just some gorgeous sets because it's coming up to Christmas. My hair at the moment, I feel like I'm looking like a bit like Miss Trunchbull in Matilda, but I don't care. I can't do a lot with it at the moment. Yes, I did miss that last dash to the hairdressers. So before I get on with the video, one of my very good friends, who I only know as Lady Skylar McCready, who I have followed for a long time, we followed each other on Twitter. She is a very, very US-based talented artist. She does lots of different artwork. She is basically selling her artwork on the cheap to help raise funds for her friend's medical bills. This is her email address here, coming up here at the bottom of the screen. And these are a few of the pieces that she does, but I love some of the things that she does. She's got a lot more in her catalogue, so please, if you're interested or you think you might be interested, or you even just want to maybe help her make a donation or anything, please contact her on the email address that just flashed across the screen, or alternatively her email address will be in my description of this video. So what's been going on in the land of the royals? Well, there was absolute outrage because we found out that Prince William back in April got the bug. I don't understand why people were so angry about this. It made front page news. People felt betrayed. He'd lied to us. How can we trust the monarchy? And I'm thinking, right, with all the stuff that Harry and Meghan have pulled, all of the lies, all of the fibs, all of the misinformation that's been spread, Archie's birth, the pregnancy, I mean, the list, where does it start, where does it end? But because Prince William didn't announce the fact that he got sick, wow, the monarchy have really let us down. If they'd really let us down this extreme, what the heck do they think Prince Andrew had done? Now, I can completely understand if Prince William had been hospitalised. That, I think, is the future. Heir to the throne, we should have been told if he was hospitalised, if he got a very serious case of it. Yes, of course, the country should know, we'd be concerned, especially the fact that obviously the Queen and Philip were in their twilight years, Prince Charles obviously got it as well. And this is when apparently William contracted it. It was Prince Charles got it at the end of March, then Prince William got it a couple of days afterwards. Now, most of you will remember that Prince William was in Anne Hall. They did lock down in their huge house that they have. So Prince William was not out and about in public. He is also heir to the throne. Do you think that people like Catherine, William, Sophie, Edward, the Queen, Philip don't have their own personal doctors. Not the sort of doctors that you and me go down to our average GP clinic. Oh no, wait, we can't do that anymore. That's a thing of the past. Not the average doctor that we can try and get a FaceTime phone call with, but real top medical doctors, royal doctors. So he would have had the best instructions of what to do, what not to do. Because people got very upset going, well, he obviously, you know, he could have infected his family, his wife, the children. Firstly, it doesn't seem to be spreading to children, thankfully, of that young age. Secondly, Prince William obviously didn't have a very bad case because as it's come out, he still managed to work. He did video calls, Zoom calls. There were a couple of videos that people pointed out that Catherine did look more tired than normal, and probably she was very concerned. She obviously would have been tested if he tested positive. The kids probably would have been tested. And the simple fact is, if he had it and he's locked up with them, they didn't have it, I'm sure it all would have been fine. They have doctors to hand. They're not like you and me, are they? I do not feel betrayed. As I said, if he got sick, really sick and hospitalised, yeah. But William had said he did it because he didn't want to panic anyone, which is fair enough. Charles got it. There was enough hoo-ha about that because people started thinking the worst. Obviously, Charles's age. But the other thing is as well, I know 5 people now that have caught this bug, and I'm not downplaying it at all. But I know 5 people, they've all had it, they've all survived. My beautician had it, and she had very bad flu for a few weeks. My auntie's had it. She still hasn't got her sense of smell back. That has got to be very, very annoying. And the others, none of them are hospital visits. They tested positive, but no hospital visits. One of them tested positive, no symptoms whatsoever. So it does affect people differently. And I think, well, why we don't get notified when Prince William or Catherine or someone gets, you know, the flu or some sort of, you know, there are really nasty bugs out there. You know, you still get pneumonia. So there was so much panic going on at that particular time because the media were terrifying us. They were telling us there were going to be bodies lined up in the streets. We wouldn't be able to cope with it. It was going to be like typhoid. You know, it was to an absolute extreme what's happening. As I said, I'm not downplaying it, but I don't understand why people were really upset with Prince William over it. I think that he made the best decision at the time not to panic people. He wasn't out and about spreading it. He was doing what the government said, and he stayed at home. Catherine and the kids would have obviously been tested, and I don't understand why the news got released when it did. I can't see why William would suddenly do this. So what I think happened is someone, one of the leaks, has turned around and said, we're going to take this to the press. So William then had to announce it to the press. It's not the first time this happens. It's not the last time this happens. This was basically how Megxit got announced. Dan Wootton had the information. And to be fair to Dan, although he's not in my favourite books at the moment, he did give Harry and Meghan a number of, I think it was even a couple of weeks to notify people, which they chose not to. Reason why Dan Wootton's not in my good books is obviously the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. But it was the fact that tapes were released of her admitting that she will still beat him and she doesn't care if he tells anyone because no one would believe him. And Dan Wootton, you know, he's like, yay, I've won the case, but I want to thank Amber Heard so much for coming forward and being a real champion for victims of domestic violence. And I thought, that was a real stupid comment. But that's it. I've got that off my chest. So this week, the build up to it, obviously Sunday was Remembrance Sunday. During the week, we had Camilla pay tribute to the fallen at Westminster's Abbey Field of Remembrance. The Duchess of Cornwall took she took on the honour instead of Harry, obviously because he's absent. And she looked absolutely wonderful. I'm not a fashion person, and I always think, you know, talking about people's fashion when it's Remembrance Sunday should be low down the list. But I have to say that military style jacket she's wearing, it looked absolutely gorgeous. It reminded me of that stunning military jacket that Catherine wore last year on the balcony. I really, really liked that. And I loved her mask. I'm not obviously a fan of masks myself, but they do the deed. But the gorgeous poppy mask, I think that if they'd have sold them around town locally and stuff like that, that would have definitely made a fair few pennies. But yeah, that was really, really beautiful. Camilla obviously stepping up into a lot of positions and voids that I can't really see that they've left many voids personally, but Harry and Meghan have left. Obviously Sophie and Edward as well. So then this brings us on to Remembrance Sunday. It was a lot more solemn this year. I generally like to watch it on TV, but because of obviously the worldwide bug, we didn't have the marches, we didn't have all of the veterans there, because a lot of them are not allowed to leave their home. They are under that kind of, you're not allowed to leave the house, they are too high risk. But we still had the royals, we still had various politicians, political leaders, and still members of the military there honouring the centre path. So I did still watch a bit of it. It always breaks my heart when you see the Queen on the balcony, because she cries every single time. I forget she lived through World War II. She actually worked in the army, wasn't she? I believe that she was a mechanic in World War II. She knows people that obviously didn't make it through World War II, and I just can't even imagine a person in my generation what it must have been like. My grandma used to tell me stories because my grandmother was in the army, my granddad was in the army. So before Sunday there was a little bit of a hoo-ha that ended up in the newspapers that Prince Harry was devastated and saddened, you know, it's really dramatic, that he was not allowed to have someone lay a wreath at the centre path on his behalf. Now, I don't know how many of you know about this. I looked into it myself because, you know, there's certain things that I do and don't know. I had an inkling, but I'll go through it with you. Nobody lays a wreath for themselves. The Queen is not laying one from her, Charles, William. No. They are all laid on behalf of other people. The event is organised by the Royal British Legion and the Armed Forces. The people that attend are working royals, political leaders, state leaders, government officials, military and religious leaders. Wreaths are placed on behalf of the public and specific areas of the military by the royal family. The process, as I said, is completely organised by the Legion and the military. So when it came to laying of the wreaths, we had Charles. He was laying the wreath on behalf of the Queen because it's the monarch's wreath. But then also you have to think about her health. She is still very much high risk. This is why I believe she was on her own balcony and we saw Catherine and Camilla separate. Then we had Prince William, who placed his wreath on behalf of the Royal Air Force. Then we had the captain of the intelligence corps. He's an equerry and he did that on behalf of Prince Philip. He laid a wreath. Prince Philip is still actually the colonel-in-chief, obviously with Prince Philip. Now that he's stepped down from duties and his health, he had this person lay it on behalf of him, but it's actually on behalf of the intelligence corps. We had Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, and he laid his wreath on behalf of the Royal Wessex Yeomanry. Then we had Princess Anne, who laid her wreath on behalf of the Royal Navy. Sophie stood on the balcony with Timothy Lawrence, which is Princess Anne's husband, and then we saw Catherine and Camilla. Again, obviously the day has nothing to do with fashion, but I have to say how absolutely stunning Catherine looks here. The coat is different to what she wore last year. It's still got a military kind of style to it, but she looks absolutely phenomenal. She literally does look like a queen in waiting. So this is one of the things that I do not understand why people are feeding into this nonsense, why Harry and Meghan thought it was an appropriate statement to come out with, how they were let down, how they are being shunned by the royal family because no one would lay a wreath on Harry's behalf. None of those wreaths are laid personally by Prince William from Prince William. I don't understand why there had to be such a media drama about it, how Harry was so saddened and devastated. He didn't care about his military titles that much, did he, when he was at the Lion King premiere? Yes, Harry, that is always going to be brought up and that is never ever going to be forgiven. He didn't care about his military titles when he didn't even tell the army that he was leaving for Megxit, he was going to Canada. They pretty much found out at the same time the Queen found out, which was about 10 minutes before the rest of the world found out. This is not a man that seems to respect the army, the military, or his family, or pretty much anyone. And then on top of that, very recently, the news being that the Invictus Games fundraiser got cancelled. Obviously, it was due to, you know, the worldwide bug that's caused problems, nothing to do with them signing to Netflix. Now, what has caught most of the media's attention is that wasn't the last we heard of Harry and Meghan, and this has caused a bit of an uproar. I'm aware of the fact that Harry did serve in the army. Whether you look at his career as something as he was just a dress-up soldier, or whether you believe he was actually the same as all of the other squaddies putting their lives on the line out there, whatever it is you choose to believe, he did serve in the army, he did do the training, and more importantly, he was out in Afghanistan. Whilst his life might have been protected, he would have still been surrounded by soldiers that gave their lives up for him and for the country and the cause. Lots and lots of soldiers, not just UK soldiers, US soldiers. So many different people gave up their lives in that war, and I'm not sure that Harry was completely immune to it, even if he was in a bunker being protected by a team of personal Gurkhas. I don't know how true that is, but obviously there's lots of people that have spoken out from the army about that. But either way, Harry does have an absolute right to pay his respects. It's unfortunate the way he's treated the military, the veterans, Invictus Games. It makes it hard to believe that any of it was genuine. Even more so the fact that he and Meghan did a very dramatic photo shoot, and I will say photo shoot, in a graveyard in LA. The LA National Cemetery is actually closed Saturdays and Sundays and on federal days, which does actually exclude Memorial Day. Now, Memorial Day in the USA is held on the last Monday in May, and then on the 11th of November they have Veterans Day. The fact that the cemetery is closed on Saturdays and Sundays did kind of make me question, did they pre-film it beforehand? Is this how they were in there? Because I went and had a look on the website to do with the cemetery, and from what I can see, guidelines for motion pictures and student filming, they actually say that a location permit is required prior to any filming or photographs being taken. You need to obtain a local permit, approved application, the script, if someone is filming, a narrative description of all photo shoots, and insurance certificates. So it's obviously been pre-planned, pre-booked. Did they go when the cemetery was open, or have they actually booked this just purely for a photo shoot? Obviously, Harry is British. He served in the British Armed Forces, but given how he's treated everyone, said how, this country was pretty much racist, how badly the country treated his wife, and he's given up everything to do with the UK because he wants, to live in America. America is his new life, yet here he is popping up on Remembrance Day, which is obviously a day in the UK, which, he left. He's left his military, the country, and I just find it very, very bizarre. Go privately. Go do something privately. Go pay your respects privately. Don't go dressed up in a suit, wearing your medals. Go to a massive cemetery which is closed down to the general public and have a celebrity and fashion photographer take several pictures. There's pictures of them bending down, wearing masks. Then they decided that the masks might have been a bit too much. They had lots of different shots, all different angles, walking around the cemetery. I find this completely distasteful. It's not the fact that Harry wanted to go pay his respects. I am not knocking Harry for that at all. But what I am knocking him and Meghan for is the fact that they took a celebrity and fashion photographer with them to capture the private moment. It's like they're still trying to pretend that they're royals in America, and this was the big thing that the Queen and everyone was concerned, that they were trying to set up their own court and pretend that they are LA royals. Harry did look somber, and I do believe there are moments in his life where he really did care about the military, but I do think those days somewhat pushed back to his brain. If there was any sense of honour and respect in Harry left, he would have said, can we not have the cameras here? I'd like to go maybe a picture of him after he'd laid a wreath, but to have all of these shots of Meghan walking around, touching and stroking his back and holding him and showing that she's supporting him in a cemetery, and it is the lowest PR stunt that I think that they've ever done. I'm not alone. You can see all of these tweets coming up here. Loads of people spoke about it. He could have gone and done something privately, but I really feel that this was done to just remind everyone that he's still royal. And at the end of the day, he and Meghan chose to leave. I don't mean to be cynical, and I don't mean to turn such a real somber day into something to bash Harry and Meghan over. I think that the rest of the royal family paid their respects. I think lots of people all around the country paid the respects. There were lots of private, because it's not just the centre path, we have lots and lots and lots of private ones, private little ceremonies that go around all around the UK. If Harry cared that much, he might have come over, but it was the fact that it was set up like it was an OK magazine photo shoot, and as I said, I just find it appalling. So you guys, write into me, give me your messages, tell me what you think. Do you think that I'm overreacting? Do you think that I'm wrong? Do you think that Harry has every right to do it? Do you think that it is a bit disrespectful to be using, yet again, a backdrop for them to show what caring and compassionate people they are? So I'll be doing another video later on this week talking about, obviously, the extension to the court case and what I think about that. So I'll be back with you guys very, very soon. Take care for now. Bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typists, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.